Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Jonny B. But together we are
Modelling for Advantage! Whee! Mate!
What's going on here? You got another couple of boxes?
Another couple of boxes.
Island Assault.
Island Assault, yeah, that's somewhere in North London, mate.
Right.
No, Island Assault. It's a new starter set for ball action.
Right.
We're going to unbox it for your viewing pleasure. Let's get the plastic off. We'll be right back. All right, mate. So, should we tell them what's inside, though?
Yes, please.
I think so. And you're going to get them a still, nice big still of everything that comes in the box.
Just exploded
out on the table. Right, according to the wisdom, sir, the Island Assault... ! Contains. If you've not seen this before, we're still observing some basic COVID sensible restrictions. John's the other side of the room to me, so if I keep looking over there, that's where he is in relation to where I'm sat. I know it's a bit weird looking at the camera. So the Island Assault box contains a Bolt Action 2nd Edition rulebook, 24 multi-pose 28mm plastic US Marines, 24 multi-pose 28mm Japanese infantry, one plastic 156 M3A1 Halftrack, one plastic 156 scale Type 97 Chiha medium tank. I said that a bit better than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
I say that now. Somebody's going to say that was horrendously wrong, aren't they? One Japanese resin pillbox and two Japanese resin spider holes. Now an assault booklet, quick reference sheet, assembly leaflets, plastic templates, plastic pin markers, 2 rulers, more on that in a moment, 10 six-sided dice and 12 bolt action order dice. My prediction is when Warlord provide you with 6 10-sided dice, 10 six-sided dice or whatever, they're often proper cracker dice, the ones that they provide. We'll see what happens. So that's what's in the box.
So what's in the box?
What's in the box is an entirely different thing. If you see bits of clump foliage appearing,
on the board.
They didn't come in the box. They're on the War Games board is right underneath us. We just played a game very recently. We're doing this time restrictions. Right, so opening the box in front of it, it's got your usual Warlord Games box topper. I don't know what's happened here because normally they've done a good job, but my manual is a bit scuffed, but I think yours is pretty beat up, isn't it, John?
Mine's like been living in my rucksack for a couple of weeks. Have you just got a little bit of a scuff at the bottom there?
Mine's just got a little bit of a scuff at the bottom.
How that's happened, I do not know.
No, because of the nature of the box topper.
It should just be sliding around at most. So.
Yeah, normally these are pristine. Now
that's a shame.
Normally with the free rulebook, you say that's not a big deal, but actually to buy this as a hardback is 30 quid. If you go look out on eBay, you might pay as much as 25 quid for this softback rulebook. It has some value.
Well, never.
There you go.
Still handy to have.
Island Assault Guadalcanal booklet.
This is awesome. I've been looking at it.
I love that they include these. I love that it's got like Commando comic watercolor type art.
Really nice.
Really
bit of history in there, which
is good. Bit of history, yeah.
Assembling the forces, literally. This is what you get. What I do like is there's painting your models, sir.
Is there a section on painting your models? It only gives you the army painter colours, which is nice, but it also gives you the Vallejo colours.
Yeah.
No, it gives you a mixture of Vallejo and army painter.
And Vallejo.
It's not. I thought top one was a guy in army painter, bottom one's not. The Marines in here have mostly been painted with army painter. The Japanese have mostly been painted in Vallejo, but they've used both ranges.
It's handy.
But we've all got a mixture of paints.
Oh, of course.
And if you take on a new army, you often are going to buy a couple of new paints, aren't you?
You're going to like the next
painting section is really nice. Preparing your battlefield. Wow, mate. Woo! You can play on the bowling green battlefield.
That's good, though.
We were going to do a battle out of the box with this. Are we going to play that battle, John?
I think we should.
We're going to literally play...
Order of play, it even goes through the turns, mate. This looks quite good for, like, if you're just starting out. This is taking you through step by step.
Yeah.
I don't know if the other one does. What was the other one?
No, the other one did.
Band of Brothers.
The Band of Brothers one had something similar. Yeah, had something similar. Explain the basics of the rules. with these bolt action starter sets, I think they are good. They do provide you with all the things you need to play. They may not be the best examples of all the things you need to play, but if you're getting into bolt action, they do represent really good value in terms of tokens, markers, pins, models. They get you going. And I think there's slightly more models in here than the Band of Brothers one, but the scenery is not quite as exciting.
If you can call it that, yeah.
If you can call it that, yeah. So then you get your box topper. Which is the play sheet, including, it said you get some rulers, right? There they are. Boom!
Wow.
To be fair,
that's all you need, though.
If you haven't got one and you just want to get playing, I wouldn't go out of my way. So you got the play sheet on your box topper, which is nice, and you also have a same play sheet on the back of your little booklet there. Pretty good stuff. So now we're into
got the old plastic
proper, the plastic. Going through them in the order that they come out. First thing in there, mate, I think you're going to be familiar with already is the...
Is it the M3?
M3A1 Halftrack Sprue. So you've already got one of these for your British, isn't you?
I do, and that's not it. This is the one here. I do
already built it.
I do have one for the Britishers.
You built it long ago. Do you remember much about this?
It wasn't that long ago. I found it quite awkward to put together, if I'm honest.
Yeah?
Just where the sides and the back, when you're putting those on, just didn't quite feel like that.
Well, you mean the cabin at the back?
Yeah, but that's mostly just me more than anything else. These are normally pretty good kits.
But you're a Games Workshop illegitimate child, aren't
basically,
you, John? You expect everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
And you
preferably just two pieces that you just plug in together.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not seeing it sort of anywhere saying like made by Warlord on this. That's what I'm looking for.
Not?
No.
It's definitely a Warlord kit, surely. Or are they all...
Well, it might be, or it might be Italeri or something, because they pushed some of the stuff out.
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty solid kit.
It does. And we got a painted one of these that we could show you. It's obviously been painted in a British bronze green rather than an American. Now, I've got to say, though, that this, from the start, right, I'm assuming I've got instructions for this at the bottom.
I hope so. There is a heap of them. I've jumped ahead.
Okay. They've not put it in the baggie. That's fairly common. I like that they've put this in the baggie because it stops sprue type A scratching sprue type B and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, or causing any damage. I really do like that.
Yeah, you're safe. There's destructions. Don't you worry.
And you can, you can make that.
Don't you worry about that.
All right, cool. Right. Next. Well, a dice bag. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mine, interestingly, so I've got 5 order dice of each colour in this baggie.
Yep, same.
And then 10 of these cracker dice D6.
Yeah, which is
But mine are different to yours. Look, if I pass you this, I've got those like bone-coloured ones.
Pretty sure they're exactly the same.
Are they?
Yes.
They just look different from this.
It's the light.
But I also have...
Yep. What's that all about? Bonus dice. One of each.
2 dice. Well, I suspect that they make these for a variety of starter sets, which is 5 and 5 and 10 D6.
Yeah.
So you know, like for like Antares and Cruel Seas or Warlords of Erewhon or something, they already bagged them up in mixed colours in 5s.
So that's
and then for this, so they've already got that, like in batches.
Is there 6 units in this box per side?
I think there possibly is.
2 sections of Marines, Zuka.
I mean, I don't...
A boss man.
It just seems so odd to include it otherwise.
Yeah, why not? And considering what is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Is this is a grip seal bag, so you can actually open it and add 2 dice to it.
Yeah. But I think someone's taking these off a shelf.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is why
just gone
rather than opening all the shelves, doing it while you're bagging it up, the box, it's easier to just say, with that set, you're going to need this extra bag.
True fact.
Interesting. Including order dice in there, great. The fact that there's 6 rather than 5, the other reason that's good is if you're serious about these armies, you get 2 of these sets between 2 people.
Yeah.
That gives you 12 order dice. That's as many as most tournaments cap out 13, I think. Maybe 12. But, you know, I find bolt action is an interesting game around 8.
Yeah. In fact, we almost try and target for specifically go for 8 units.
Go for about 8 units.
Not min-max.
But that's because we don't want our game to last more than about an hour and a half.
That's the sole purpose
we
of
play on a 4x4 foot board. And we play 750 points. It's not because I believe it's the best way to play. It's just the way that the size of game we tend to still enjoy, rather than be like, you know, or are we finished yet? You get your usual bolt action Firefluff. As you collect various warlords set, you're increasing numbers of this. And this time, I usually get little MDF bases.
Yeah.
But these have got the recessed or lipped bases. Very nice. I've got some bubble wrap, John.
Oh, have you?
Warlord bubble wrap means resin.
Are you okay with me touching this stuff?
What, with your greasy fingers? You're going to put in a bowl of washing up liquid anyway,
On the plus side, it's not bent, so I'm not going to feel the urge to try
it's not bendy resin, is it?
No, this is like old...
If you've not seen John handling Warlord bendy resin...
Yeah.
We've got a short video on that.
So, the pillbox, oosh, very low level. It's got 3 vision slits, true fact. And a bit of detailing on the top. Not that you can really see it, because there's a bit of a whitewash here, but you've got some lovely
like a fallen bit of fern.
Yeah, a bit of fern and a bit of a jungle bit.
Okay.
That's cool.
That's a nice bit of resin. Yeah, okay. So that is actually a machine gun.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I'd call that a pillbox at this scale.
It's just a little nest.
They might call it. It's a machine gun nest, yeah. But it's a concrete one, I guess.
Then you get a pit trap, I guess. Or a
hole.
spider hole.
Two little ones. So, I mean, you know what this is about, right? In the early phase of the Pacific campaign, the Japanese, if you've done any kind of, you know, watched any documentaries, read any history,
Thin Red Line, I watched that documentary.
But you know, people tend to think the approach to dealing with a beach assault, an island assault, or whatever, an invasion, an overseas invasion, is never let them get off the beach. Keep them boxed in on the beach and then throw them back into the sea.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Maximise
that's how you deal.
Before they even hit the...
Yes. Don't let them get ashore in any numbers is the way to win this campaign.
Right.
But what was happening by mid-43 onwards is the Japanese had largely lost the war at sea and the war in the air after the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, as it was called.
So they're on the back foot.
And the preponderance of munitions that the US will bring into each new invasion
Unstoppable.
was like, let's not just lose half of our men on the beach to preliminary bombardment, air attack and so forth.
Pull it back.
Let's pull back.
Hide in a little hole.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take the war underground. We're going to make them fight. We're going to make them nervous. We're going to... But it's interesting... Sorry?
I was going to say that surely that really changed the dynamic of combat back then. I mean, you're expecting the... I don't know. I mean, the Germans did a little bit of that, surely. Not quite digging into a beach, but...
The thing is with the Japanese, though, and this is, you know, I don't read a word of Japanese, and a lot of the documentation isn't around, and much of it has never been translated into English. But the pre-war Japanese doctrine and philosophy was they always knew that the United States was going to have be able to build a bigger navy than they had, that had a bigger navy than they had. And the first strike thing on Pearl Harbor, that wasn't the strategy. They've done that before. That's okay, you give it your best shot, but that's not necessarily their plan to win. The whole point about occupation of all these little Pacific islands was they were always planning on fighting a long withdrawing battle.
Oh, wow.
That was always the plan. So time after time, these invasions, their plan was, or their hope, or their expectation was that, for example, imagine Japan fighting in the Pacific without a Pearl Harbor or whatever, was that they know the Americans are coming to Tokyo Bay, and they're planning to whittle them down and whittle them down and whittle them down, so that by the time they get to Tokyo Bay, there's going to be a decisive counterstroke, a battle of annihilation, and that will finish them off. That's kind of the pre-war philosophy. That really changes at Pearl Harbor. It's like, no, mate, they don't have a bigger fleet than us at the moment. They will do
why I'm laughing at that. Why am I laughing at that?
They will do in a year or two, but you know, right now,
we're in a good place.
And I don't know the degree to which parts of the army and the navy which didn't get on in Japan at all. They want different things.
Oh, really?
Completely different things. Yeah. Whether they were still on some level operating on that plan,
right?
And whether the plan they were never.
They just couldn't change gear sort of thing. That's the plan. So this is what we're going to do.
And you know how, like, in a lot of these things, when you start drilling down, it's saying, yeah, there's the plan, which is what the general staff think the plan is, but that isn't the plan that the guy on the ground is actually is working to.
Right.
Because he's an independent human being with his own thoughts, viewpoints, and autonomous command, and isn't necessarily reading all the memos.
Yeah.
And time after time in military history, the really famous one is the Battle of Verdun in 1914, in 1915, in the First World War. What the Germans are trying to do at Verdun is to create a battlefield environment where the French have to fight at a disadvantage, and they are just going to grind the French army up.
Really?
In this, they're just gonna keep attacking. So the French keep pouring troops in where they're fighting at a disadvantage, and over a period of months, they're just going to grind it all down.
And at the end of it, you'll end up on top.
At the end of, exactly. At some point, there'll be 2 Germans, 1 Frenchman, and then we've won. That's the thinking.
Grim.
The thing is, most of the Corps and Divisional commanders didn't understand this.
Oh.
And even some of the army commanders. So they're attacking Verdun to try and get there.
Oh.
They're supposed to be attacking Verdun
just to
put a show on, to keep the French counter-attacking.
Pouring dudes in and then keep going with that advantage. Wow. Okay.
So the German and French casualties a few months into the battle are about the same. And the High Commander going like, what's gone wrong here? And it's like, your Corps commanders are trying to capture ground. They're not supposed to be doing this.
Just meant to get more dudes in.
Yeah.
You think that's a similar thing then with the...
I'm not saying that it's the same thing in terms of that was their plan. I'm saying that there was the plan as was created,
and how it was interpreted.
But in terms of the execution of that plan, not everybody was on board with the execution of that or understood that kind of nuance. Or you get the charge of the Light Brigade instance as well, where these days it's believed that it was an adjutant, an aide-de-camp, who was trying to prove a point about the effectiveness of light cavalry against infantry.
We're still the dog's danglies.
So he's kind of deliberately misrepresenting Raglan's orders.
Right.
Because he believes that it should work, and he's got a moment when he can prove it.
Get some glory.
But one more proven intellectual point, I think, is the thinking.
Yeah, that really worked out, didn't it?
So you think about that, this is a Victorian battle, so you've got a period where people start to think scientifically about that. Number of shots per minute in relation to the ground clearance of a horse. And people are writing articles in military journals saying that this is possible that light cavalry can overrun a battery in emplacements. But people haven't tried it.
Right.
Because people are not mostly at war.
Which is good. That's
and then this kind of opportunity arrives. It's not necessarily provable, but I think it's increasingly widely believed that this guy was looking to prove his theories were right, for example, but they weren't necessarily what the orders were. So, and I think that's one of the things that maybe happens in the Pacific campaign is I don't know whether the grand strategy remained this attritional battle. They're always intending to trade space for time.
With that knowledge going into the war, and they already know they're just going to be fighting a retreat, essentially, were they hoping that
I think like with Nazi Germany, there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hoping going on.
Was it a hope that the Americans would just go, do you know what, we can't do anymore, we can't commit anymore? Were they hoping that they'd just sort of give up? I mean, I can't...
I think sometimes with these things, people get into sort of group think and double think, and they're not able to see the situation from the other people's perspective. So from the Japanese perspective, they were always expecting to lose a long war with America.
Yes.
But they want to hurt America so bad that America doesn't want to keep trying.
Yeah.
America will take a way out. And indeed, when it comes to feeling that we're going to have to invade Japan now, Roosevelt is desperate.
Didn't want to, did they? Because they knew that they're not going to give up.
No, and they gave a lot of the world to Stalin to keep him in the game. Said, one of the commitments that Stalin made to Roosevelt was that I think it's something like 90 days. They agree a time period like after after Germany is defeated after a certain time period, I will declare war on Japan. Because there's a non-aggression pact between the Soviet Union and Japan.
Right.
Because of their 1930s problems and their border conflicts. And Truman is just desperate to get Soviet blood into Japan. Because they're expecting a massacre. Yeah, and whether he was ever going to be really willing to do it. You know, it's an interesting question. Difficult to know. So whether that remained the strategy, but I think probably like a lot of things as to war. So you were saying about why they were doing it. From their perspective, they were intending to make this war so costly, so bloody that America would want to end the war, and you know, take its bloody nose and go away, and that there was enough of a buffer between Japan and the States, all of these territories that they've occupied, that Japan could trade some space, make it so costly. They just couldn't think about how they would react.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you were America in this situation? Someone's come, kicked your front door in, beat up your family.
I mean, you're gonna
and shot off, and saying, well, every time you come looking for me, I'm going to make it really so. But you're not going to get. You're very unlikely to give up there. You're very unlikely to just decide this is too big a price to pay in blood and treasure. Thinking what you did to us is worth any price in blood or treasure, and we really want to see you ground into the ground, so you can never do this to us again.
If anything, it just added fuel.
Exactly. And the Japanese never really understood that, I don't think. And the Germans never really understood that. It was just like, what you have done to us means that peace is not an option.
That is no option.
And if you think about this from your perspective, that's exactly what you're doing now. Anyway, we're going way off topic. Let's go back to talking about
Island Assault.
It's Island Assault.
Thing. So we just talked about the M3.
Talked about the M3. We talked about so you get these like little spider
pillboxes.
Improvised, yeah. So this all happens, it's not so much on the beach, it's usually more inland later on.
Just, as you say, just really annoying little pockets of resistance that are
everywhere. Yeah, just make life really uncomfortable. Yeah. But the idea is that if one Japanese can kill two Americans, then we're going to win the war.
Happy days. Grim.
Two major sprues in infantry here. John, which one do you want to talk about first?
Shall we get the US Marines?
The US Marines. So this isn't a new sprue.
Not new to this kit, anyways.
Not new to this kit. It's new. This starter set is new, but the items in it are not brand new. So this US Marine Sprue, and how many of these have we got? I'm counting 4 in mine. Does that tally with what you've got there, John?
I'm just going to say yes, because my other sprues are down on the floor.
Okay, so we've got 4 sprues. We've got 6 dudes on them. I haven't made these guys before. Just having a look. So in terms of posing,
see what you get.
It's an interesting set of poses, these. One guy's really squat.
Yeah.
One guy's like he's doing exercises.
You've got one kneeling, one running, 2 sort of leaning into the rifle.
There's only 3 actual upright guys. 2 squat and 1 on his belly.
Yep.
So if you're not someone... Prone figures are really funny. I don't dislike a prone figure. I dislike one prone figure in an army, in a unit of 9 standing guys.
Yeah, I think I'm...
There's 9 guys standing, 8 of which are running, and 1 guy is on his belly. It just looks weird.
To the point where, thanks to Wargames Illustrated, I had a spare sprue of these at home, so the ones that I have had... I've not used any prone guys.
You've not used any prone guys.
I'm kind of hoping we can collect all the prone guys and have a unit of prone.
Have a unit of prone guys.
That would be alright.
Yeah. Well, you make your weapons teams and things like that sometimes.
I mean, it's not an old kit, that's for sure.
No, so we've got a mixture of the... So there's 2 different ways that Warlord tend to have done their arms on different kits, isn't there? One of them is right arm, left arm weapon. For enthusiastic modelers love this. People who like Wargames kits like me, who are not great modelers, do not enjoy this because there's a lot of work involved. And often...
I've got a happy medium here, though.
With these kits, these are not Space Marines with a big shoulder pad. You can hide them. You need to match the arms up. You need to check when the number sheet, one left arm goes with one right arm and is intended to hold a certain type of weapon. It's like with the rifles, they're further apart than with the submachine guns. More bent. It's like...
You say that. I think it's meant to be very similar with Space Marines as well. But you still see the odd up here with the tilt and then the arm down here, and the bolt gun's just like generally resting on there. It's the same here.
But these are going to look really bad with that.
Oh yeah, even worse.
They just won't line up. So the arms do come in sets. But like with a lot of the more modern kits that they've added, it's quite common for them to have both arms and the rifle molded in, or one arm with the weapon, which is my personal preferred method, arm and weapon, and then the other, because you've got a little bit of modularity within that. But to be honest, these are more true scale than heroic. These plastics, they've not got really fat necks and feet and so forth, which means there aren't many ways you're going to be able to put them against their shoulders without their arms being quite out of alignment.
Yeah,
they're only really going to go one way.
True fact.
And there's a lot of one-handed weapons here as well, right? Where you just hold it, just holding it with one. No, there aren't.
I mean, there's a few. One, I think, or two.
Yeah, no, the SMGs are mostly one-handed. I'm just looking at the top here.
Yeah, but they're like slung over your shoulder. And...
Yeah, but that gives you a bit of freedom.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, the two Thompsons there, which are right arm with the weapon and left hand free.
Yeah,
which is cool. You get loads of extra gubbins on here. You get knives, pouches as standard. You get your entrenching tools. Mate, you get a bandolier of shotgun shells.
You get a bandolier of shotgun shells.
You get a trusty trench gun.
You get an independent shotty.
Yep.
And
is
then
there one? Yes, there is. Yeah.
There's a single shotty here.
And then there's one in.
But then there's one in a pair of arms. But what I like about these is they're not just in the Marine uniforms. These are Marines in action.
Yeah.
They've got slightly ragged looking trousers. Some of them are kind of rolled up their trousers. Yeah. Some of them got very frayed bottoms to their trousers.
In there. You've got everything.
Most of them have got either bare arms or rolled up sleeves. You know, they look like. And if you see any of the footage from the Pacific campaign, the Marines say, "What colour is the Marine uniform?" The Marine uniform is bleached in the midday sun, mate. Is what it is. It just looks dusty in most cases.
May have been army green at one point.
Or even with the camouflage, you can usually still. I don't know whether it's to do with the fabric that the helmet covers are made out of, but usually the uniforms, when you see the footage, are so bleached in the sun
completely different
that you can't see anything of residual of the original camouflage pattern. But often with the helmet cover you can.
I'm surprised at that. I thought that would have been first point of contact with the old sun, and that would have, because they're covers, aren't they? They're just material covers over the helmet.
Yeah. Or maybe because of a camouflage item, they would replace that more readily.
And it's your head, and that's going to be sticking out.
Yeah, I mean, it could be different. But often in the footage, they do have your very battered-looking uniforms, but you can still see the camouflage spots on the helmet covers. I don't think some of them just had it on the helmet covers.
It's not a bad little kit.
It is an interesting little kit, and it feels very US Marines. They've all got kind of John Wayne helmets. A good chunk of their helmets are they're not strapped.
Some of them are even on the tilt to look cool.
On the tilt, absolutely. Now, what are these other heads here?
You got bandaged eye.
You got a guy with a flat cap
with a mullet. You got some sort of like, it looks like a New York cabbie.
Yeah, it looks like a docker or something.
With a fag in his gob. And
have you got the bit of paper, John? What does it say that he is?
What does it actually say?
What does it claim that he is?
It says it is component number 5, which is head in forage cap. That is a funny looking forage cap.
I mean, yeah.
That don't look like a forage cap.
Well, I assume it is.
It looks like some sort of civilian
item. Ooh. Nice kit. So what else you've got on here is you've got a BAR, and in terms of most of the SMGs are Thompsons. In fact, all of the SMGs are Thompsons.
M1 Grands. Then you got what's the carbine called?
We were just talking about the shot. We just had a bit of a cut there. We just lost our way.
I was like, what's the carbine? And I picked up the Japanese infantry document. I'm like, it's not on there. So it's called an M1 carbine. That's what it says there.
We've got shotties, we've got Thompsons, we've got a BAR, we've got Garans and carbines on here, as well as knives, bandoliers. What I also like about these is because of the arms, the spare arms, a lot of the single open arms that are going to hold these independent weapons are rolled up sleeves. You can probably fit some of them in with like airborne dudes and army dudes.
Yeah, to mix it up.
Just the odd one.
Yeah.
if you wanna bring a weapon in, like if you want to put a shotty on your sergeants. In terms of bolt action rules, I forget exactly what they are, but they're definitely worse than rifles. But you know, they should be. We didn't arm our soldiers with shotguns. We could have done, and we chose not to because they're a terrible weapon of war.
Handy for a backup, or in a hole, or in a cave.
In a hole, potentially really useful, or whatever, circumstantially useful. You know, if bears patrol roam your farm at night, then that's probably the choice. But in war, you probably want a rifle, right? But that's the Marine Sprue.
Yes.
Really like it. Got the different arm options to suit all buyers. I'm still not sure about the guy who's doing like the Jane Fonda workout thing.
Do you know what? Once you'll see, I have actually made a couple.
Can you get a close up of these?
I've made a couple, so I'll show you what it looks like when he's sort of sitting on his base. It's not as bad as it looks.
Does it look like he's doing Pilates?
One knee is actually on the ground.
Oh, is
Believe it or not, but
just the way the model is on here.
Yeah, it looks like he's sitting down and his legs spread akimbo. It's just a bit weird. One other thing before we move on to the other you do get a weapon sprue there.
You do get a weapon sprue, and what you got on the weapon sprue is a load of individual weapons, which are going to go in those open hands. In particular, as well as providing you with the options like, I want, you know, I don't know, you get yourself another sprue because you want to modify one of your squads in the game, and you want to give them all rifles. Not enough rifles on there, they're all the same. But you've also got some other weapons on there, right, John?
Yes, and the key component on this one with the kit is it does say it comes with a bazooka team.
Comes with a bazooka. Oosh!
And I can confirm, after having a little rummage, there is no metal bazooka in there.
No.
So you got to make one out of this.
You're going to make one out of this. And then this kind of big long canvas bag is the... Is
that the spare doofus?
That's the spare bits for it, I think.
And you get a loose Suka shell as well.
Oh, and you get a grease gun.
Where? I'm seeing 2 Thompsons.
Up near the pistols. It's a grease gun, mate. Look at that.
Sweet.
But you've also got a scopes rifle on here, which is going to let you build a sniper. You got more with bayonets and a few more pouches and so forth. Even a spare Zook around. So a little bit of kind of loose base decoration and stuff among other things. Really good that they include this because this is going to allow you to have a plastic bazooka team and a plastic kernel because you've got pistols and stuff rather than having adding a few metal. Some people really don't like that. It's like, why do I have to have 3 metal models in this 100-man plastic army?
True facts.
So with this sprue is going to mean that you don't have to, but it will require some modelling, yeah?
Yes, it will.
Boom.
Next up.
The Imperial Japanese Army, mate.
The opposition.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes to a sprue. So this is a similar design vintage as a sprue. The Americans. There's a lot of 2 arms and a rifle already in here, so... a lot of them are quite easy to do, but there's some bits that stand out. One is this guy, the prone guy, the guy in his belly.
Yeah, poor fella.
Has got detachable legs.
Yeah. It's proper grim. So why have they done that?
I guess, I mean, like always, and this is important to understand, is these companies, they're not fixed in a moment in time, fixed in a way of doing it. They're iterating, aren't they? They're trying different options, different ways of doing it. So you can kind of cock this guy's leg back a little bit or whatever, so he looks like he's in a Benny Hill show, I guess. but at this point they'd tried to do that, and he's mostly for making like your sniper, I think.
Or it's going to have to be because it's not the LMG.
It's the prone right. I remember this kit now. I remember it most unhappily. He is going to be your LMG guy. There's 2 LMGs.
Yeah, there's one
that's kind of slung, advancing and firing, but there's another one on a bipod. And with these kits, you see there's one here.
Yeah. Getting
that bipod out without breaking it is a nightmare.
Okay.
It is really, really... because it's very, very fragile.
It's thin material.
Very thin material. The sprue gate on it is actually quite strong, how it connects to it. You can do it, but I found the failure rate on getting these, you know, I did several attempts.
We're talking 50-50?
We're talking 3 to 1.
Wow.
We're talking, I think, 4 kits to get 1 bipod. But I mean, that's me. That's not, you know, your mileage may vary. And I'm not someone who replaces the blade on his scalpel every time he looks at it.
Yeah, man.
But some people like to do that. So, yeah, you've got a good mixture of rifles. You've got your LMGs. There is an SMG on here, although options for taking SMGs are quite limited.
It's very long. It's got a little knife on it, mate. Oosh.
Where is it?
So on the same box as the LMG and bipod, you've got the little trumpet. You've got one of the little Arisaka dudes, and then you've got...
Oh, yes, it's very long, isn't it?
Type 99,
I have no idea on the small
It will be on here. Oh, look, I've picked up the US Marines this time.
Yeah, and I think there might be another arm that's like got a magazine in it or something, or has the option to look like it's loading it.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
It's a Type 100, FYI.
Yeah, so, but most of these guys have got 2 arms and a weapon, so this is quite easy to put together. They're in rather dynamic-looking, odd poses, and some of the faces...
Oh, they mean business, mate. Looking at that, they're all screaming at
but
you.
some of them you got like squinty, scrawny little guy with glasses, looks a little bit...
I like that, he's pouting.
A little bit dodgy, if you ask me, mate. But you've also got swords on here.
This is a 2013 kit, though, so we've got to give some...
You've got swords on here. You've got the 2-inch or knee mortar on here.
Boom.
As well as the machine gun. And you also have...
Flagpole, I've just seen.
You have a flagpole, because is it the infantry instruction kit that's also got the flags on, or was it a separate sheet? I haven't got to my paperwork yet.
Yes, you do get flags.
You get a flag sheet. All right. You also get a bugle and a pistol. The bread bags and entrenching tools on these, there's not loads of them, but they are all quite different looking, and that's really nice as you mix and match those across the different kits. Now, some of these bags, and it does tell you within the instructions, are like specifically, this is an LMG pouch, this is a bread bag, some of these things. It's worth looking at those things so that you load and your LMG, and map cases. Yeah, these 3 pouches here are specific, or for their specific pouches. And I really like the fact that they've gone to the trouble of identifying that stuff. And again, you've got yourself, 9 heads on here, which is a nice little bit of variety. So that's your 24 Japanese infantry.
Boosh!
Boom.
Mate, next up is the Chiha medium tank. Chiha!
Chiha!
Is that right?
Are these the longest sprues that you've ever handled? They're really long, man.
For such a diddy tank. It's not a big tank, is it? It says a medium tank, but I always thought their medium tanks were little ones.
So it's got an instruction booklet.
Mate, I'm quite impressed with that. It gives you a bit of fluff of the history. It gives you, literally, did you know there was 1,162 of these produced? Really? With a crew of 4. It had an air-cooled V12 diesel engine.
An air-cooled V12 diesel engine.
You get all the information, and you get some paint guides.
You get some painting guides, yeah. Okay. So, this looks a lot like, it's very familiar with kind of Italeri kits, isn't it? It's got these tracks that connect top and bottom.
Yeah.
All the wheels and the rollers are built in a plate that goes into the side of the tank, which then glues what is looking to me not keyed to the hull, mate.
Yeah. I'm looking through here. It's more than 1 page, which equals bits. The turret is a fair few components, sir.
I'm just, these wheels bother me because the plate that glues to the lower hull, it's like this, and it's not keyed.
Uh-oh.
So that's got a lot of scope for failure.
Uh-oh. Although on the plus side, the lower hull.
Hopefully, I mean,
the lower hull
if it's manufactured precision because it's got that wavy line, you've got something solid. But you can't be keying for a moment like this, so it fits in exactly as it needs to.
The problem is, even if it has got the same wavy edge, once you've got that plastic glue on and you accidentally put it down.
Yeah.
This will need some care.
This is what. So right, we're not got the opportunity to do this for you before we release this unboxing video. I would watch a video of somebody make it.
Yeah.
Just looking at that, saying, before, I'm not saying it's a bad kit or a good kit. I'm saying it's a kit that makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah,
I've seen
more involved than some.
Seen a few indicators of areas where I could make a massive mistake, and so I'm going to watch a pro make this before moving on. And it's always interesting the design choices they make. So because of the way those tracks work,
yeah,
and I assume in part you need to put the tracks onto the road wheels before you put the road wheels onto the side. It's kind of why it's done like that.
Yeah, I think you do.
But conversely, you've got some really solid keying for the way this kind of upper hull bulge,
when that sticks
the mount that holds the turret and the engine deck fits onto the otherwise flat surface. That's got really strong keying, and that's actually got a piece of it to... You don't necessarily need to... You see what I mean? You've got this raised section it's going to fit against.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid design feature.
That doesn't have to be keyed because I've got something to measure it against that's a kind of flat surface to push it in.
Interesting.
Well,
you notice you get two hull plates there.
Yeah, there's obviously two different versions.
Yeah.
But I've also noticed, and I've not seen this before, or not often, we've got recesses for the driver and the belly machine gunner position. So the hatches are detached, so presumably...
Do you get enough crew to do... No, you don't. You only get
one dude.
You get the dude hanging out.
Oh, but look at the dude, though. Look at him, mate. He looks like one of the motorcycle riders in Aha, Take On Me. He's got that, like, goggles.
He looks like he's wearing an aviator hat. Like, you know, like the pilot.
Yeah. He's got like a leather. He's got like a leather cap. He's got some goggles on. He's got a leather jacket. Man, that guy's styling it. 1,100 Japanese tanks. So I'm the kind of person that, in terms of wargaming, interesting Japanese medium tank. Right. Well, Japanese medium tank. I'm the kind of person that always has problems with computer games, especially, but sometimes wargaming, saying the Japanese don't have any tanks. You know, I'm very much that kind of person. And the thing is that relative to all of the other great powers, they don't have any tanks.
Yes.
But they were very good at putting their tanks that they had to use. So when they do make a major offensive, particularly in China, is they do brigade these tanks together. They do know what to do with them. Okay. You know, they're not just sent. You know, they may only have available a few hundred tanks at any given time across their entire armed forces. But when they're getting a major offensive together, they will move those, get them prepared, several hundred tanks. To make a major action. And it's not about the thing that I often overlook, many of us do, is these tanks are garbage, but they're only garbage if you're comparing them with things like Panthers.
Yeah.
They're not garbage to compare with not having a tank.
Yeah, pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Pretty good in that.
For the theatre that they're in, they're decent. Because it's a second-rate theatre.
Yep.
That is a fact. Last few bits in here.
Is it all the gubbins?
All the gubbins. So less enthusiastic. In mine, we've got our bases,
but these aren't the sunken lips.
They're not the lips bases. I like the recessed bases.
I thought these flat ones are obsolete by now.
Interestingly, that's what we've got in here. We've got those bases. We do have bases for our dudes on their belly. They are the lipped bases. And then we also have pin markers.
Oh, we're going to need these.
Yeah. These are great. This is a starting kit, not a starter army. This is a start the system kit. Really glad it's got these. If you're new to bolt action, these are your pin markers. They do have a little dial. You can twist them. If you're playing at home, down the club, it's perfectly usable. When we play, we tend to use one of these per pin and not use the dial component because you just can't read it at any distance.
Mate, I'm struggling to read it now and it's point blank.
But people will have... But we play for camera where the visual element is really important.
One of these is one.
But these are perfectly capable of tracking a unit. You also get this. This is your artillery template for your one 2, 3, and 4-inch burst weapons. And then these tokens, I've not seen anybody use
Nobody's
these.
ever used these,
but they are all of the things that you need. This is your tokens for your hidden, as well as usable as pins, which I think is what all of these dog tag like ones are. But then the ones you've got immobilized, hidden unit, sniper, artillery ranged in position. These are actually all the markers you need to play the system.
Yep.
Glad that they're in there. You get a thing from Warlord Games telling you where they are, and how to look after resin.
Resin.
Couple of things about resin if you're not using this, whether this is the new Warlord resin. Actually, to be fair, these ones that I've got, no, but these, the two little ones, they're darker. I'm not saying that they're bendy, but they don't feel like traditional resin. No, you should not, John. Don't break it.
This isn't though, right?
No, that feels very much like traditional resin, doesn't it? It's got a really, really smooth. This stuff, before you paint it, you want to be washing it. You want to use soap and degreasing it. There's a releasing agent that they use to get it out of the molds, which is really greasy. It's very easily dealt with things like vinegar, but just basically washing up liquid and an old toothbrush or something just to get that out of there. Otherwise, your painting could be quite. You're going to find paint flaking off or whatever. It picks up the grease really badly and starts with some. I think that's fundamentally what it's telling you here. Don't file it and stuff like that without a mask. It is a fibrous material. Have a read of this if you're not familiar with resin, because it isn't plastic or metal. I am just down to my paper now, John. What about you? Have I missed anything?
Mate, I'm done.
Man, I was done by Vass.
I've wafted. I got a Vass as well. Vass has been a busy.
Vass is a busy guy, right? We've got decals and little unit cards, right?
Oh, where's that?
Oh yeah. Oh mate. Right. So I don't know what decals you got. What decals have you got?
I will tell you.
Because I've got the wrong decals.
What do you mean you got the wrong decals? I got some Japanese. I got the Chiha decal sheet, which is kind of cool. Oosh. And I've got a USA M3A1 Halftrack.
So I've got the Chiha decal sheet as well.
Sweet.
Yep. And I've got the US M3A1 Halftrack decal sheet.
Cool. Yep. Yeah, it looks the same.
And then I've got another US M3A1 decal sheet.
Oh, bonus!
But we haven't got the infantry ones.
I don't know if they come with. I was going to ask you this actually earlier, because
with the regimental patches and stuff.
I don't know if they do. I don't think they come with. That's one thing we will have.
You mean they don't make them, or you mean they're not?
No, I mean I don't think they make them.
You don't think they make them?
The US Marines or the Japanese infantry come with them.
Right, and then there's the flag sheet. Ah. Now, when I got one of these previously with the Japanese infantry box, this was glossy paper, but this is matte paper.
This is matte. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I don't like the glossy paper. I prefer this on the matte card. Definitely.
Good.
And then we've got these 3 unit cards for the Type 97 Jahi, and then the Type 97 Kai Shunto Jahi, which is presumably it's an Ogon one. Yeah, absolutely. US M3 Halftrack. I like these little cards, but they don't quite give you all of the rules.
No.
You don't quite have enough. If you're starting from scratch, as you buy ball action kits, you're going to get these cards and everything you got. But if you've already got a collection, you can't buy these cards unless you buy a new tank. So I just find I end up looking in the book anyway. Doesn't quite work for me. And then you got all your bits of paper, your Warlord bits of paper. Nice that they've got a little booklet for that. Again, if you're not familiar with their infantry kits, just to show you, they do number everything.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure what something is, or if you're looking for something, you might find you're better off looking in the words and then finding it on the sprue. Or
only if the components are still on the sprue to be able to locate on the thing. So.
Yeah. With all Warlord infantry kits, they're not kits for you to clip all of the bits off and then sat with a big pile of them in front of you and try and assemble it, because the 2 arms won't fit together and so forth. Leave it on sprue. I highly recommend. If you only play one army ever, you might get away with it.
You might. Yeah.
You might, but I would really leave it on sprue. and clip it off as you need it.
It's the best way.
It's the way to go.
I think, sir, we've come to the end.
So what do you think overall? I can't remember exactly how much it is. It's somewhere in the region of between £75 and £90. It's not cheap.
That's what I'd expect to pay. How much was the Band of Brothers?
Band of Brothers, it's a similar kind of price. Similar kind of price.
Mate, you get everything you need to start. If you come into the hobby, boom, done.
Now, if you're an existing player, and you want to play the Pacific, it's probably still decent value. Because you've got a platoon of Japanese and a platoon of Americans. The fact that it includes the Weapon Sprue to existing US players, this really improves the kind of kit bashing options for all of your others. But you've got a vehicle in both forces as well. There's less money invested in the scenery in this one, the 3 little bits of resin.
Yeah.
You get 24 guys and a vehicle in each case. 6 order dice. But if you're an existing player, see stuff like this doesn't necessarily... But does everybody have an artillery template? Does everybody have the official wall? They don't have 0 value, I don't think.
No, they don't have 0
They don't have 0 value.
And I'm sure you could either pass them on to a new friend that you make and play some games with, or you can pop them on the old,
Pop them on the old eBay, do some swaps, something like that.
Do something like that.
How balanced the forces are? Well, I can only assume that the Marines are supposed to be veterans or something. Hopefully or maybe that Japanese tank is inexperienced or something.
Perhaps it's just really
I'm just seeing as like, you get a Zuka and a half-track and I get a tank.
On the plus side, the tank is only 8+ to penetrate, so...
If they get to shoot the Zuka right, it will blow up.
If you get to shoot the Zuka, yeah.
Yeah, it will go. I think it'll provide you with an interesting first game, though. I think I really do.
In a different theatre.
In a different theatre.
Which is awesome.
It's good. It's a different place to go. I like the resin bits of scenery. I mean, they could have included a couple palm trees, but unless they're going to give you 200, it's not going to make you a jungle board, is it?
Not really.
Or a Pacific Rim board. All right, guys, that was our first thoughts. I'm happy with it. I would get 2 if I was one to start. Fortunately, we did. We've got 2 of these.
There is 2.
We do intend to play some games in the Pacific. We need to think about terrain though. But we're going to maybe do that introductory scenario or something like that. All right, folks. Thank you for watching. So if you like the review, you're thinking about buying it, you could consider buying it from us, of course, directly at modelingforadvantage.co.uk. We have the Island Assault at 15% off. We also have the Band of Brothers Starter Set at 15% off if you're looking to get involved. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Yeah, it's basically the same starter set. We're going to unbox this for your viewing pleasure. No, let's start that again.
That is green.
Spectrum is green.
Green means go.
Green means go. Beans mean times. All right.
15 seconds in. Try not to kick the camera.
Try not to kick the camera. Yeah, there's all kinds of issues around that. All right then.
Let's do it.
Prick. Hello and welcome. Too big on the screen.
What's the carbine called? Cool. I can tell you that the carbine is called, as soon as I've looked at the doofer. Let's go back and do that bit again, shall we? That's because I'm looking at the Japanese one, you prick.